So in this video, we're gonna review the Chrome console. I'm gonna remove the code from the previous video, and I'm gonna make this a little bigger. And I'm gonna right click, and you open the Chrome console just by clicking right click here on inspect. And I'm gonna move this to the bottom. And from here you can select console. One of the nice features is that you can rearrange this. You can add this, for example, in the first as the first item in the menu. And I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna show you another way that you can open the console. You can click here on the top, View, Developer, and you will find the Developer Tools and JavaScript console. So this is going to open also the console. The console is going to be really helpful when you have some trouble with your code. In the console, it's going to print an error or something. Also, you can use this to check if a value exists, or you can send values from your JavaScript files to the console. Let's review those in this video. So let's start working, and we're gonna test the following commands. If you remember, in the previous videos, we use a function called prompt. We can use prompt right here. Inside quotes, we're going to add what's your name. And I'm gonna add this double quotes, single quotes right here. And I'm gonna add what's your name. You can click on enter, and you can see this is going to execute. This command is going to print the prompt right here. So in the console, you can practice your code. So for example, let's say that you can add something like 2 plus 2. You can see it's going to print 4. And 3 minus 1, it's going to print 2. 4 times 4 is going to print 16. So any JavaScript code is going to work in the console just fine. You can click here on this icon. This is going to clear the console. And then, for example, you can also add document. If you remember, in the previous example, I added this document. But what is exactly the document, right? You can click here on enter, and you can see we have document right here. You can click here on the triangle, and you can see that we have the same HTML that we have here on the index.html file. So for example, let's say that I open the body, and you can see that here on the bottom we have the script src app.js. So document is the way that you refer to this index.html file. So for example, let's say that we have this welcome, and we can add something like welcome. Save this, and I'm gonna open again this. And from here on the console, you can add something like document query selector, and then I'm going to add, well, I'm going to change this to get element by ID. This is the one that we already saw, and of course we're going to explain this in greater detail in upcoming videos. You can enter this, and you can see that we have div ID, welcome, and welcome. So for example, you can test if your code is working here on the console and check if an element exists on your HTML files. But normally you will send the information from your files to the console, and I'm gonna show you how. Let's open the app.js, and right here I'm gonna add console.log, and I'm gonna add hello. Save this, and you can see that we have in the console hello. So this is going to be really helpful when you are working with JavaScript code to check that you are sending the right values right here. So for example, I'm gonna remove this. You can send also a number, 20 for example, or 987, and you can check that this value is working as expected. So the console log command is going to be really helpful. You can also send out other values such as true or false or things like that. So let's see, for example, let's create a variable. Create a variable and send the values in the console. So for example, let's say that we create a variable called learning. It's going to be equals to learning JavaScript, and I'm gonna send this learning variable to the console. I'm going to add console.log, and then we send the variable learning. Save this, and you can see that we have learning JavaScript into the console. So this is a nice way that you can check that your variables are holding the correct data. I'm gonna remove this. You can also send arrays to the console or through the console, console.log, and I'm gonna add square brackets 1, 2, 3. Save this, and you can see here on the console we have this 1, 2, 3. You can click here on this triangle, and you can see that we have an array. And of course, we're gonna cover arrays and methods in greater detail. So for example, this is console.log. You have other options. So for example, you have console.table. And here on console.table, you can add, for example, 1, 2, 3 again. Save this, and this is going to print the values in a table. You can also remove these contents. And let's add a message here, for example, oops, something went wrong. And you can add something like console.error in this case. And it's going to print this as an error. Something, if you already have experience, for example, with jQuery or React, they use these kind of messages when you did something wrong. So for example, we can copy this error that we have and create several copies. Save this. You can see that we have several errors, and you can clear this just by clicking on this icon, or you can also type console.clear, and this is going to clear the console. You can see we have console was cleared. So this is a really nice handy function that you can use. Also, you can send warnings to the console, console.warn, and you can add something like a warning. Something like that is going to be printed in a yellow color. So you have log, you have error, you have warn, you have different options that you can use. So for example, there is another one that is really handy. For example, I'm going to remove this. Right here on the top, I'm going to add console.time, and I'm going to call this one test. Here at the bottom, I'm going to add console.time again, and I'm going to add time end. And I'm going to add again the name test. Save this, and you can see that we have the time that this code take to execute. So this is basically the console. You can send any values from your JavaScript file just by using console.log or another messages, as we already saw. So for example, let's say you can also send console.log 2 + 2, and it's going to print this value. So you can always check the status of your code, that everything is working, and check, for example, the values that you have when your code is executing just by using the console. So in the next video, we're gonna take a look at how to create variables in JavaScript. So let's continue working in the next video.